So let's get right into it. On the left, we have the Seek Thermal Reveal Pro, the Fast Frame Edition, and on the right, the Seek Thermal. Their build quality of both is identical, and they're amazing, to be honest. They feel super ruggedized and very well built. They feel about the same weight and are identical in size. Moving on to the temperature accuracy of the two devices, one of the things I noted was that the Pro version was quite a bit more accurate than the regular Seek Thermal. Looking at the temperature readings on the back wall there, I can see that the Pro version was reading it to be around 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, the regular Seek Thermal version was reading it to be around 78 degrees. And I can attest that the Pro version was more accurate in this test. Both devices come with identical flashlights that are very bright and surprisingly useful in a nighttime setting that most likely you're going to be using these in. One of the things I noted was that the Pro version did put off a little bit of warmth when in use for a few minutes. Not anything extraordinary, but maybe about 5 degrees hotter than ambient, whereas the Seek Thermal stayed pretty much exactly at ambient. Moving on here, we can see how sensitive and able this device is to be able to pick up some small electronics in a room here. In the back there we have a computer, and here some walkie-talkies that are charging. Quite a bit of detail is able to be made out just simply looking through the device, but we'll see shortly that the Pro definitely brings out a lot more detail when looking simply through the viewfinder of the device. Shortly here I'll be showing some of the filters that come with the Seek Thermal and Seek Thermal Pro. Mostly they are identical, with the Seek Thermal having a couple more options in terms of showing the high and low values that the Seek Thermal cannot do by itself. Looking at the Pro, it's much easier to see that there's much more contrast in terms of the slight differences in temperature when looking at those wood beams there behind the plastered wall, as well as looking at these walkie-talkies. It's much easier to see fine detail and to actually be able to tell what it is you're looking at through the device. Now I'll show some of the filters that are available in the Pro version, most of which, like I said, are available in the regular Thermal, but the differences here are that the high and the high-low options here at the bottom are only available on the Pro version. Another option the Pro has that I didn't quite mention here is that it has a full frame version, in the sense that it shows its full resolution. The only downside is that it loses its high refresh rate advantage over the regular Seek Thermal. The field of view of the two devices are almost identical, and you can see that here, that on the right, this computer screen on the right is just barely clipped in the Pro version, whereas it's not in the regular Thermal. The high refresh rate that the fast frame version of the Pro version offers is a huge advantage. We can see this here when I'm moving my fingers around, how much more choppy the regular Thermal version is than the Pro. Here it's a bit hard to see, but the amount of detail in the Pro is quite a bit more when looking at the veins in my hand and the cold and hot spots in my fingers. As well as looking at the refresh rate here, it's much more evident that there's less blurring and a much more clear picture on the Pro version than the Thermal, with its higher 30 Hz refresh rate versus the Seek Thermal's around 9 Hz refresh rate. Keep in mind though that this is because this is the fast frame version of the Pro, where regular versions of the Pro will not have this higher 30 Hz refresh rate. And in order to tell if yours has this, you have to look and see if it has that white double F emblem on the top left of the device. Both devices suffer from a small problem that causes it to freeze up every few seconds. It's barely noticeable, but does last for about a fraction of a second. I believe it might be because the devices are trying to refocus or adjust its sensitivity. Looking here at the light post in the center of the frame, when focusing in on it on the Pro version, it's quite easily seen here in black in the center, where black is the hotter temperature in this filter. Moving on to the regular Seek thermal version, it's almost unidentifiable. The image is much more blurry, much more noisy, and this is only at roughly 400 feet. One advantage the regular Seek Thermal has over the Pro is its extensive battery life. It's able to last me around 8 to 9 hours of use on almost full brightness, whereas the Pro version seems to only last me around 3 to 4 hours. It all depends on what prices you can find for the two devices, but in my opinion the Pro version offers better resolution, better range, and better sensitivity. The high refresh rate version that I have also helps in detecting fast-moving objects like animals or pets at night.